Welcome everyone, this is On Just Restart, and today we're going to be doing a little bit of a quick little speculation video because we are continually getting more teases and hints towards some sort of Nintendo and Microsoft collaboration. So this time we're looking at some of the additional pieces of evidence that we haven't covered yet and kind of trying to piece it together a little bit more, what's sort of being insinuated here. Now before we jump into things, let me very quickly talk about my social media. You may see a few different things here on screen. You can check that all out. It's linked in the description below. And of course, if you like what you're seeing here, you can subscribe. So over the last few days, there's been a lot of buzz about this potential collaboration between Nintendo and Microsoft. A lot of different ideas have been thrown out. Game Pass, for example, coming to Nintendo Switch, perhaps Master Chief and Smash Brothers, perhaps some sort of remake of Banjo-Kazooie, or maybe Rare Replay coming to Switch, or Master Chief Collection. A lot of different ideas are being bounced around. And all of this recent buzz sort of started from this one screenshot that people were looking at from a Xbox stream or a Microsoft stream with Phil Spencer, where there was a Switch in the background, and then afterwards, on the Games Beat podcast, Jeff Grubb said that everything in there, including the Nintendo Switch, was teasing something. Some other people came out of the woodwork saying that, yeah, this was the case, that they are teasing something. And that's where sort of the buzz sort of started. Now everyone's sort of been speculating for the last few days about what's going on here. But there's been more sort of surfacing in terms of potential teases. So on the official Halo Instagram, you look throughout the entire Instagram of Halo, there's a lot of Halo stuff, which would make sense. Everything they have there is somehow related to Halo or the teams working with Halo. But very, very occasionally, and I mean very occasionally, they sometimes share art from other companies or something alluding to it. For example, Doom. But Doom is from Bethesda, which was bought out by Microsoft, so it's now a part of Microsoft. And there's been a couple references of Among Us on the Halo Instagram, but that's been sort of a social media thing that's been going on for a little while. But what's peculiar is that we have gone recently, with all of this buzz going around, a shared art piece of Mario characters with Halo clothing. Considering how often this official Halo Microsoft account is sharing exclusively Microsoft things, and then they're now all of a sudden sharing Nintendo Microsoft fan art, it's definitely out of the ordinary, especially considering the timing of things with all of these other rumors coming about. But then on top of that, during a GameStack stream, an official Microsoft stream, we saw another Switch in the background amongst a few other Xbox devices. Now, if you're unfamiliar with the history of things being teased in the background for Microsoft streams, if we go back to before the Xbox Series was even officially announced, they actually had an Xbox Series S hidden in the background for one of their streams, and then later on they came out and revealed that they were hiding this little Xbox in the background. So there's a lot of teasing here coming from official Microsoft, either streams or social media accounts. It's very strange, especially considering the history of Microsoft teasing things. So personally, what I've been sort of thinking lately is that perhaps we're going to be seeing Rare Replay come to Nintendo Switch. That's sort of like my big sort of bet here. But as we continually get more and more teases and references from these official Microsoft accounts, I'm starting to think it might be something a little bit beyond that. Maybe I'm getting too high up in the hype train here, but I'm starting to think that maybe the notion of Game Pass on Switch being announced even this year might not be that far off. Now, the thing is, I haven't been that strong in the belief that it could happen anytime soon, mainly because there's a lot of logistical issues there. Most of the games on Game Pass cannot run on Switch natively, it would all have to be streamed, and then on top of that, the Switch is a hybrid console. Oftentimes the system is portable, and since there's no actual SIM card that you could put in there, you can't really have internet on the go. So there's that bit of a limitation, but on top of that, there's a lot of third parties involved with Game Pass. Some of those third party games are already on the Switch eShop, so if you were to put Game Pass on the Switch eShop, you could potentially be bastardizing a lot of sales, affecting a lot of third-party relationships. It just seems like a very messy situation that would require a great deal of hurdles to get by in order for it to work. But I'm not saying it can't work. I'm not saying it can't happen. I want it to happen. I think if it were to work, it would be really awesome, because as someone who doesn't currently own an Xbox, if I were to get Game Pass on my Switch, I can have a system that is portable, that can play home console games, but can also play Xbox games and a whole bunch of other third-party games thanks to Game Pass. That would be an incredible deal for the consumer. Is it something that Nintendo and Microsoft would want to do? That's where the debate kind of is. But one thing seems pretty clear right now. Something is being teased, something is happening, and I'm pretty confident in saying that there's absolutely a collaboration of some sort occurring here. Microsoft already publishes a number of games on the Nintendo Switch. To think that they'll be announcing a few more as the generation goes on, that's not even really a crazy prediction at all. That's an expectation by most people that's gonna happen. But what if it's more than just a couple of different games? What if it's more than just an awesome Nintendo edition of Rare Replay or Master Chief Collection? What if it is Game Pass itself that includes things like the Master Chief Collection and Rare Replay? Considering in the most recent tease, the Switch is being shown with an Xbox system, almost as if like, hey look Xbox gamers, you can play your Xbox games on these different pieces of hardware. One of them including the Nintendo Switch. To me, that sort of tease there, what it seems to be suggesting to me is that maybe Game Pass is coming to Switch at some point, and it really may not be that far off. And I think the most interesting thing about this is that I'm pretty sure the social media accounts for Microsoft are very well aware of what's going on the internet right now, what's trending, what's buzzing, and I think they're absolutely choosing to intentionally further tease this idea. So let's just say we are actually getting Game Pass on the Nintendo Switch this year. Let's say that's actually happening. How would it sort of be? Well, I would have to imagine, considering all of the hurdles we already mentioned, there would have to be a lot of changes and adjustments to the Game Pass, how it would work on Switch. I would have to think that most, if not all, the games through Game Pass would have to be streamed through the xCloud service. And I would also have to think that the library of games would have to be a very customized version just for the Switch eShop, which isn't really that crazy of an idea because we already have custom libraries for the different platforms for Game Pass and xCloud. That's not really that out of the ordinary, but definitely I think that the version that would be on Switch would be very different. And there's also the possibility that this will be such a customized version of Game Pass that it might not even be called Game Pass itself. It might be some sort of weird sort of naming that is encompassing of both Nintendo and Microsoft. Maybe Nintendo is communicating with Microsoft because Microsoft is really good with online infrastructure. Nintendo isn't. Maybe Nintendo wants their help with this, and by getting the help from Microsoft, they can establish a far better online infrastructure, at least hopefully eventually, and the benefit to Microsoft is that they can sell their games on further platforms and continue to market themselves. Maybe that's what's going on here. Personally, what I really want to see is a Nintendo edition of Rare Replay that includes some of the Donkey Kong games that aren't on the actual Rare Replay because Nintendo owns Donkey Kong. I don't really think that's too much of an expectation. Rare Replay already exists. If you just add a couple other old games into that package because it's on a Nintendo platform, if that's somehow a part of some sort of specialized Game Pass on Switch that includes other big Microsoft games such as Master Chief Collection, that could be huge, and I think a lot of people would be really excited about it. Now, again, there are a lot of hurdles. I think the pricing of it and how it would impact how people buy games on the Switch eShop as a whole, that definitely, makes me skeptical of this actually happening. But maybe it could be a library of games that isn't currently available on the Switch eShop, and it's more of a, here, if you want to play Xbox games on your Switch, you can do this, you pay this amount monthly, and maybe that also sort of encompasses a Game Pass subscription on other Xbox platforms. It's hard to say what's actually going to happen here, but one thing I feel like is fairly likely at this point is that this is something that's a little bit bigger than just a port or two coming to the Nintendo Switch. They didn't tease this as much as they have done in the past. It's not like it would be a big surprise if Microsoft were to port another game to the Switch eShop. I'm feeling like this is something a little bit bigger than that, and I don't think it's Master Chief and Smash Brothers just because there's two characters left. We already have Banjo-Kazooie, which is a Microsoft-owned character. and Steve and Alex from Minecraft, other Microsoft-owned characters. That's 2 in the 2 different passes for the Smash Ultimate DLC. I feel like it's something beyond that. I think Game Pass does kind of fit the bill, but it might just be something a little bit different. Maybe it is a customized version of the Master Chief Collection. Maybe it's a customized version of Rare Replay. Maybe it's a Banjo-Kazooie remake. If we go back to when Banjo-Kazooie was announced for Smash Bros. And we saw the stage and all and how Sakurai was discussing it, it did sort of feel like maybe he was teasing more, maybe. So maybe that's what's in the works. It may seem like a crazy lofty idea, but regardless of what this is, I do think that it's a little bit bigger than just a port of another Minecraft game or another Ori game or even a Bethesda game to Switch. I think it's something that is somewhat worthy of all the hype, but we'll see what happens. Anyways, everyone, this is On Just Restart. Thank you so much for listening and watching, and I'll see you all really soon. Take care.